So, if you're into permaculture, you really should be looking at some of these trees, because it's not something you have to plant every year, right? Like if you're planting a lot of annual vegetables, you're involving yourself in a lot of labor. And things like lettuce, for example, you might plant 3 times a year. That's a lot of work. If you have these trees, you can get superior nutrition, and they just grow on their own. So, moringa, I think, has anybody here not tasted moringa? Okay. Well, you've got to come to the Faith House and give you some. It's just a marvel, and we call it the miracle tree. And ECHO in North Fort Myers, the Tropical Agriculture Research Station, leads with this tree around the world. Extremely high nutrition. And if you go on our website, GaiasGuardians.info, we have a PowerPoint about the nutritional qualities of moringa. It's astounding. You know, it's got more vitamin C than oranges, more calcium than milk. It's got protein. And in Asia and Africa, they use moringa dried to feed pregnant ladies and to feed babies when they're able to take solid food. So, I mean, it's great survival food there. Everybody should have at least one. The hardest job I find with moringa is keeping it down, because it wants to grow 15, 20 feet a year.
And it does.
And it grows in where it's very dry. It needs really very, very little care. You know, you propagate it by breaking off a branch or cutting off a branch and sticking it in the ground. It's that easy. So if you don't have one and you have a yard, you know, you're really missing something. It's a good idea to dry it, because if you dry it, then you can break it up in a food processor or a blender and store it in jars indefinitely, and you can take it camping or you can take it on a trip. You know, it's very portable then. And you don't really need to buy spirulina or chlorella if you've got moringa. So, and you can use it fresh in a smoothie, in a salad, or anything you cook. Just use it. That's so it's fabulous. All right, so we have two other plants here that are extremely nutritious. Katuk is a shrub that has peanut-tasting leaves, a little peanut flavor to it.
Green peanut tea.
And again, it's very nutritious. It'll grow in a fair amount of shade. It's been growing under one of the big grapefruit trees that I have, and it's grown actually up near the top, 10 feet up. And it'll grow in full sun as well. So having a plant that will grow in the shade and produce food is a very valuable species. It propagates very easily. We found that the chickens love it. You know, we cut branches every day, stick them in the chicken tractor, and the chickens are after it big time. So,
Bill, did you bring in starts of that plant at one time?
Which plant? Katuk?
Yeah.
Well, it was a gift to me from Ken Benway, who told me when he gave it to me it was moringa. Oh, I thought it was moringa for a while, and then I found out that it was Katuk. So, great. Great, otherwise I might not have gotten it for a long time, but it's coming up all over my yard now.
But that's when you did have a little problem with, wasn't it?
Well, you can only eat a small amount of it raw.
That's what you're saying.
Right, you should cook, if you're going to eat it regularly or a lot of it, you should cook it. It can contribute to lung issues if you eat a lot of it raw, and I did experience that directly.
Through juicing or just eating it raw?
I was making smoothies and putting a lot of it in there. But at the time, I still thought, I didn't know it was Katuk, and I didn't realize it was, you know, it had a problem. I found out about it online. But I had gone to the doctor, I had gone and gotten a chest x-ray because I was starting to have problems. As soon as I stopped eating it, a lot of it was fine.
Well, how did you finally identify the plant?
From the flowers. I went online and looked at the flowers and found it. Yeah.
What's the suggested amount of usage daily? I mean, I know it's gonna, differ from everybody's.
Yeah, just use a small amount raw if you're gonna use it raw. I think if you cook it, I don't think that you, would have
Doesn't-
a
doesn't
limit,
have a problem
necessarily a
once
limit.
it's
Yeah. Now, chaya is another extremely nutritious plant, and it grows in very dry conditions, sunny, dry. It can get fairly large, 15 feet high. I've seen one, two of them down at Fruit and Spice Park down in Homestead, by 20 feet across. But again, you want to keep it cut, so that it's manageable. That has cyanide in the leaves, so you don't want to eat any of that raw. But it's very easy to drive it off. It's a gas. It's driven off as a gas. If you boil it for 3 minutes to 5 minutes, that's all.
Dehydrate it. It comes out when you dehydrate it.
Does it?
Makes great chips.
Oh, yeah? Okay, that I didn't know. You can just dehydrate it and the cyanide will be driven
And
off.
out-
Seriously, it makes chips like kale chips?
Absolutely, and they are so tasty.
Good.
Church, here at the church.
And this is another one, if you get a stick, you put
Yeah.
it in the ground,
That's it.
and that's all it
Absolutely.
needs. It's just unbelievably easy. I had a fairly sizable one, and a couple years ago, what was a tropical storm? Debbie, was it?
Yeah.
It blew it over because it was top heavy. And so I cut it in half, and I had a couple of big stalks that were this tall from the top half, all leafed out. I just stuck them in the ground, and they're alive today. It's unbelievable that a plant can respire that much moisture through the leaves and not have roots and still survive. It boggles my mind, right? So, you have some experience with this plant, any of you? Yes.
I have that variety, and I also have the very ornamental one.
Uh-huh.
It's a great nitrogen fixer, attracts butterflies,
Yeah.
edible. But I tell you, twice a year, I
Good.
whack it down to about 2.5 feet,
Really? Yeah.
because
Yeah, it can get away from you.
the chaya. Oh, my katook's getting up there again. I've been whacking it back.
So if you have these 3 plants in your yard, you've got a lot of food. But you just have to know them and respect, the cyanide and the whatever Katook has. I'm not sure what it is. But I think what I'm going to do is cut them up, kind of shred them
Shred 'em.
before I cook them,
Sure.
just to make them
Chop
cook
'em.
faster. Because you drive the gas off in 3 to 5 minutes, and yet you got to cook it, for a good while to soften it up. So,
Kind of like a kale leaf, like that kind of.
Yeah, kind of tough, yeah.
yeah,
Is it like a spinach
yeah.
flavor or?
Yeah, it's good, and after you cook it, say you're boiling it, you can drink the pot liquor.
Yeah,
You
because
can
the
drink
cyanide's
what?
gone.
Huh?
You can do all the liquid from the.
Yeah. So,
Because of golf gases.
Yes.
yeah, so we had a big pot of it this week, the first time we've used it in a long time, but I have a couple of jars of the pot liquor there.
Could you use it as a stock?
Yes.
Sure,
Okay.
it's very tasty.